talking about Kid Cudi's new album, I was on Reddit and I was looking at a bunch of discussions that people were having surrounding his album. And there was like a lot of people who were listening to it and they were like, I like it, but just like the first half, it doesn't have that like it doesn't have that man on the moon feel. But I think a lot of people don't understand is that like, dude, production in music changes so much every year that there's no
Mhm.
way you can sit down and make yeah, you can honestly in concept you can, but it's just a different era, different culture, different everything. You can't sit down and make a 2009, 2010 sound.
That's so true. I don't know if you heard it, but like in a couple of the tracks in like the first part or the second part of Man on Moon 3, there's like a lot of Travis Scott influence on the vocals too.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah, for real.
in Damaged, and there was one other song that was earlier. And
Yeah.
when I listened to it, I was like, oh shit. So is Travis Scott like a hidden feature on the song? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's yeah,
yeah,
I honestly was thinking that too because I heard some stuff around the album that did sound like Travis Scott, and I was like wondering if that was the case. But I think I think honestly, when Travis Scott was coming up, I remember Travis Scott citing Kid Cudi as one of his influences. So when him and Kid Cudi did, the slew of like 3 or 4 songs together, I think that kind of awoken something in Cudi. It was, kind of did something for him. Because Kid Cudi to me is like the OG of like he was the first person I think to ever make like modern emo hip hop. Like he
Day and
was the
Night Man.
yeah, yeah, like he was the first one to really like bring in this concept of modern emo hip hop, because I mean, you could bring up like Eminem or you could bring up some of these other artists or you could bring up, Kanye's 808s and Heartbreak, but I just Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon End of Day, the first one, when you hear it, it's so different. He's talking about, you know, 808s and Heartbreak it was too simple to be considered like a really cult emo thing. And then like for emo hip hop wise, which is cringy, but that's just the best way I'm gonna describe it. And then like Eminem, it was too horrorcore. But when you really heard his stuff, like his the fear of being alone and the fear of nobody liking him and taxes and all these other random things that had only been discussed very few and far between. That's one of the reasons why Kanye was so big was because he was, his first 2 albums they centered around things like his grandmother's death and
Mhm.
not being able to go to college and struggling music wise. But then I think Kid Cudi brought it to a really personal early 20s me versus the world level that was completely different and honestly, this is a big statement, but I feel like if those 2 albums, Man on the Moon 1 and 2, had not come out, I feel like artists like maybe Lil Peep and I hate XX Tentacion, but XX Tentacion and Travis Scott, and I think some of these other artists might not have been the artists they are today. I think his influence
They
is
would
that
not.
big. Yeah.
Do you think Drake was influenced by Cudi?
I would say for sure. I would say if you look back in history, or like if you look back in that era, so you know, Drake in 2008 was right when he started getting a little bit of attention. That's right when he started getting a little bit of attention. Kid Cudi was already in 2008 pretty big. Like he had this one project, this one like demo tape that was floating around at the time, and he had a kid named Cudi, which there's a
Right.
bunch of songs from that. Day and Night was from that. So that's
Mhm.
like when it really got big. And then 2008 was when Cudi was with Good Music and um, Man on the Moon End of the Day started coming together. So Kid Cudi came out with Man on the Moon End of Day You know what? Let me just search this really quick. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure Kid Cudi came out with "Man on the Moon" End of the Day shortly after Drake came out with "So Far Gone" the mixtape.
Yeah, I remember one of the videos where a single on Man on the Moon 2. I think it was like one of the big songs from Man on the Moon 2, and Drake was like he like popped up in the music video for it.
Yeah,
And he was like a big fan of Kid Cudi apparently. And one of his like interviews, he was like, "Yo, Cudi like one of his like inspirations." I might be paraphrasing, but
was Kid
you know
Cudi.
the like one of the reasons I brought up um Drake was that I don't remember, but like a few years ago, he like Drake tweeted out like a diss against Kid Cudi,
Yeah, Two Birds, One Stone.
two birds one stone.
That song.
I didn't know there was a song behind it, but I just know about the tweet. You wanna play
Was
that
it the
song?
one where Kid Cudi said, say Two Face?
Um,
Because
I'm
Kid
not
Cudi said,
sure.
say Two Face, bitch.
I'm gonna look this shit up. Yeah,
Go on Twitter,
Drake.
search Kid Cudi, say Two Face, bitch.
See, two birds one stone. It's a song
They,
recorded
they,
by Drake.
yeah, they don't have it on YouTube because it's copyrighted.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, but it's a diss.
They took it down from YouTube. Is it anywhere? Is it on anything? Any
I don't.
website or whatever?
No, it's only on Apple Music.
Uh, Kid Cudi has responded to Drake's recent lyrical diss towards him. See, say it to my face. Oh, I'm gonna put this line on the
Say Two Face,
server.
bitch.
Young, put me on. Use your best Drake voice and sing this line. Yeah,
Oh yeah, you were the man on the moon. Now you just go through your phases. Life of the angry and famous. Yeah, that's such a fucking my god, dude. He really went after Kid Cudi for mental health too. He was shitting on Kid
that's.
Cudi about mental health.
I don't know why he did that. Like, you think he was influenced? You think Drake was influenced by Cudi, right? So like, how could you even like think of dissing him like that? Like, he was
Fucking,
part of the reason why he like blew up like that.
he literally was also super influenced by Pusha T, and then
Yeah.
fucking completely wrecked him. Or no, Pusha T completely wrecked Drake. Like, it's just insane that that's how things turned out. Do you know what Man on the Moon 3 is doing for numbers so far?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up this thread on KTT. I saw this comparison between Kid Cudi, Kid Cudi, Jag, and Taylor Swift. So pretty interesting comparison. Something like so Jag has like 5 million, 5 million monthly listeners on Spotify, and Cudi has I think 100 million, and Taylor has like bigger than that. But see if I can find it right now. Another thread that I saw was like Kid Cudi did like the biggest comeback ever, like mainstream music wise.
Oh
Like in
yeah,
the
Kid Cudi, dude.
early
Yeah.
2000s. He was like about to be like a superstar, and then dropped Speeding Bullet to Heaven. Got like the worst criticism on it by like critics. And it fell a lot. I think it sold like 20K. Fell way off. and then didn't drop music for like 5 years maybe. And then Travis Scott blew up big. He like he came out and said Kid Cudi is like my biggest inspiration, blah blah blah. And now all of a sudden he dropped Pain Passion Demon Slayer. I think that did like 50K or something when it dropped. And now he has like so many monthly listeners on Spotify. He did the biggest comeback ever. It's just crazy.
Oh yeah, like fucking Kid Cudi he just went off. I mean, it's because I think that like it's kind of hard to explain, but I think that Kid Cudi just had this issue where, you know, he based his whole career off Man on the Moon, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what really like held him back personally. I think that was his biggest mistake because he did Man on the Moon 1, he did Man on the Moon 2. Great hits. Everybody loved them. But then, I remember interviews between Man on the Moon 2 and Indica. And I personally thought Indica was a good album. A lot of people did not like it. They did not like the album at all. But I thought it was a good album. See, when when he was starting up with Indica, he said that like he basically was saying like, oh, I have this other concept for an album series. But he wants to start it off with Indica. So he was gonna do Indica, then he was gonna do Man on the Moon 3. And I think when he did Indica, also if you don't remember this, in 2013, Kid Cudi, if I remember this correctly, I might be completely fucking saying this wrong, but I remember he went I think he went straight edge. Like he stopped smoking and
Oh
drinking.
yeah.
Yeah, and so he did Indica. And then after he did Indica, I remember he's like, all right, Man on the Moon 3 next. And then he did Satellite Flight, Journey to the Mother Moon. And you know what? This is the thing I think with Satellite Flight, Journey to the Mother Moon. I didn't think that album was necessarily bad either. But what I think happened was I think that he started to work on Man on the Moon 3. And I think he just realized that he wasn't there creatively. He just wasn't in the same mind space that he was. He wasn't there to create that album. I feel like he was like, I did Indica, I like that. I'm on to new things. I don't want to do this. So that's why it was just like this little 10-track album. He's like, oh, that's the prelude. And then he was able to push it off more. And then he did Speed Bullet to Heaven, which was fucking garbage. And I think after that came out and people were like, this is awful. I think that's when he was like, shit. And I think he kind of, I think Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying. I think the reason why that album did so good, like for Cudi's track record, was because Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying, to me, that is a spiritual successor to Indica. I think it was an
Really?
album where I think it was definitely an album where he sat down and was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to this. I'm gonna try to find myself in this. And I think that's why, because if you look at the album, he works with Mike Dean and Plain Pat a lot, but it's mainly produced by himself. And I think that was the most important thing about that album was he produced it himself, but he also stuck to this concept. He didn't focus on this idea of Man on the Moon 3 or this in between, because Indica was this thing. I think if I remember correctly, he made it on this like little vacation for himself in Hawaii or some shit. Like it wasn't even like a crazy thing he was working on, like this big blown out project like a Man on the Moon album. And I think that's what Passion, Pain, and Demon Slaying was. And I think he knew that after this album, he was going to do Man on the Moon 3. I think he 100% knew it. And then he did, Kids See Ghosts, which got super fucking popular. Everybody loved it. was critically
Yo,
acclaimed, if I remember. And then Man on the Moon 3. And obviously, I think Man on the Moon 3 was perfect timing.
it is. It is.
And I think that he did it. I think that he executed it perfectly. I think the people who are upset about like why is the first 9 songs so different from the other 9 songs have to understand that this is a different era. This is not 2009. This is not 2010. This is not 2011. You know, times have changed, and you can't tell producers, "Hey, make me a Man on the Moon End of Day." Then that completely defeats the purpose of what a Man on the Moon End of Day was. And when you tell someone, "Oh, let's make a Man on the Moon," you know, 2, it just completely defeats the purpose of what Man on the Moon is. You know,
Yeah.
it's gotta be new and refreshing, and it's gotta sound like. I think that the first 9 songs, which are the ones that people have that problem with, the first 9 songs are literally the same. They're the same type of songs from the last 2 albums if they were turned into 2020. That's it.
One other big difference is that I noticed is that he rapped a lot on these albums, on these tracks. I mean,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
because
Oh, yeah.
Tequila Shot, I feel like the tracks in these albums compared to the past Man on the Moon, it was like nowhere near this much rapping on the past album.
Oh, no,
And
100%, there was not.
I saw in an interview the reason why he chose to rap this much is it was because Travis Scott told him that he liked his rapping and he wanted him to rap more. So he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go in and show these guys that I can rap." And I don't know if you heard the Eminem single. He was like, the reason why he chose Eminem for like the announcement of Man on the Moon 3 was like, oh, I can go back, I can go rhyme back to back with like the greatest rapper alive, the rap god. So now you guys gotta accept that I can rap too, and I'm not just like singing.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree with it, and, like, dude, when I heard Tequila Shots sounded like a modern day soundtrack to my life.
Yeah,
Like, have you heard Soundtrack to My Life
I heard it. Yes,
from
let's
Man on the
play that.
Moon?
Let's play that. Let's compare.
Yeah, fucking,
Let's compare it now that we have the chance.
um, Soundtrack to My Life.
What's the track? What's like a little snippet on the first track on Man on the Three? What's that like
That's
little melody
from
feel?
In My Dreams. It's the first track on Man on the Moon 1.
Gotta play that too. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's a
Man
great
on
song.
in the shit.
Let me all right. Cuz remember this is 2000. Yeah, we also got to fucking talk about Jack Harlow's new album.
Jack Harlow. I
Yeah.
wonder what you're gonna say about this.
I have so much.
This fight, this one, me.
I don't know if you feel me on it, but I feel like it's got the same vibe.
They do. They do. It's like I think one part. So the chorus, he says, "This time I'm ready for it. This fight is for me. Fight this." I feel like that is what he's trying to tell in this album. That's like the story he's trying to tell, like the soundtrack to his life right now.
The soundtrack to my life.
You know, I think his
Fucking
rapping. I feel like
I
so.
like it.
One thing about like the older Man on the Moons are that I don't like. They're like always like standout tracks, like "In My Dreams," "Soundtrack to My Life," "The
Yeah.
Enemy," and a bunch of other ones. But then there are always like a few where he just rapped a lot, and I feel like they just don't like stand up to like
Yeah.
the same ones as much. And I feel like one of the reason why is like he kind of mumbles, not like mumble rapper mumble, but like you can't he doesn't like enunciate his voice and lyrics clear enough. I don't think. I don't know
You
if you
don't
feel the
think he
same
does
way.
his lyrics clear enough, Kid Cudi?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think he did. His lyrics weren't clear enough. A couple on like some spots on that, but I definitely did enjoy him rapping. You know what I mean?
yeah. I feel like that's part of why that fits into like what he's trying to do. Like um, the themes of his albums, they are always like depression, anxiety, and a bunch of like mental health problems. And I feel like the production, they're always like so overproduced and so like there's like so many elements to them where sometimes it's like hard to tell what Kid Cudi is saying, like compared to the instrumentals. And I feel like now that in like Man of the Moon 3, there's like this new age of trap production. There's like always this base of like hi hats and 808 drums. There's like the platform,
Oh
like
yeah.
there's like stable enough where he can like there's like these like patterns where he can go into where it's like really easy for like listeners to understand where he's going where with his lyrics. I think that really stands out in the new album
Yeah,
compared to the
honestly,
old ones.
I feel that 100%. I think that the people who are trying to compare them, it's two completely different eras. And I think for this, but that's like people, bro. That's why a lot of people keep saying like, "Oh, we want Drake to make another Nothing Was the Same" or "Take Care." You know,
Hmm.
it's too different of an era. It's just
Yeah,
not gonna happen. Like when you hear the production on Take Care for 2011, like let's take like three albums from 2011. Take Care by Drake, Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon 2, and let's say like mm, let's
2011 Session 80.
yeah, Section 8. When you like look back on those albums, it's like the production for that time was as good as production gets. Like
Yeah,
that was as good as production got. The whole concept of like the stuff we hear nowadays was not a thing. So there wasn't that ceiling. You could only go that big. Like I remember people talking about how too Take Care was too like mainstream or trappy sounding. That's what we were saying. Over songs like Shot for Me having some hi hats in it and fucking like Lord Knows and stuff like that, like having a little too much bass for the style of track it was. And it's just like there's always going to be those people who are not going to like it, and the era is changing and things are different, and
yeah.
just the ceiling for production is so different. You know what I mean? Like the ceiling for production is so different.
I feel like it's more like very there's more variety in the production back then too. Like right now, it's just really standard. The hi hats are just really standard. But back
Oh
then,
yeah.
there's more choices too. So it's like we're comparing like you can do like interesting patterns with like the drums compared to like here's like a a pattern or a pattern of drums that we know everybody will like but we can do like interesting production too. It's like really
You know,
weird.
it's like even synth wise, like there's things that when you compare them, you're like, oh, that's like so different. Like, okay, let's say you take, um, let's say, the Good Ones Go. So that song has some like synths and background noises on it. It's really spacey and has this vibe to it. And I remember first listening to that song in 2011 and being like, wow, I've never heard something like this. But then in 2018, when I heard Peak by Drake and those synths and the fucking way you made that song, the just spaciousness of that track, the rest in heaven, Diana, like that to me, I was like,
Mhm.
whoa, I've never heard anything like this. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just each era, there's different things that people can do, and
Yeah.
music is just constantly changing. I feel like Man on the Moon 3 definitely is sounds how, if it came